and welcome to another D3 tutorial. So this one is upon request by Flux Soul Vast. He wants us to create a Elgato model in Cinema 4D. He wants the HD60. So I went to the website. This is the Elgato Gaming, and this is the limited edition in Glacier White. And we're going to model this in Cinema 4D. And for reasons why we would, here's the HD60 Pro that I modeled. And if you want to make like an infograph, hopefully better looking than this one, you can use your model and change the angles of which you want your pictures to be taking, such as this or this. So you don't have to search Google and find like a random picture of hopefully the right angle you want to use, and if it's not, you kind of just like suck it up and do it anyway. With this, I can really customize. I want this angle, I want it sideways a little bit, now zoomed in, and then you can render it at will. And also you can change the colors of this as well. For example, I have this like black color. Maybe I want like a signature series, or I want to do like a rebranding of this item. I can go in here and pick a different color, I can pick a different texture, I can have some graphics across it, and then I can render it out with those graphics. For example, I'm just going to get rid of the reflectance and add just a basic, let's go, maybe just a random texture. Let's do this, whatever it is. And then hopefully you pick something that maps correctly. Unlike me. And then you can have some type of a logo across it, and you can change the graphics and so on. So let's back out of that and go with the model. Of course, we want to open a new file in Cinema and go to your multi-view by clicking this button over here and hit up Google. So we want first a image of a flat top view like this. So right click, save as, pick a destination, and save it. We also want this side view, which I can't find, but it's luckily on their website. Happens to be this third one. What I did is I took a screenshot, bam, saved it, picked a location, and I used it. And what I'm going to use that for is I'm going to hit top, options, configure, make sure back is selected, open up that file. This one is in downloads. Add that to the background. Also, I'm going to add to the front. But first, let's make a square. We can match the height and length of this, the square. So this is the stubbier side right here. And then this front angle is the longer side right here. So we want to add that longer side to here. So again, options, configure, back. Open a file. This happens to be in the pictures because I saved it as a screenshot in here. And it doesn't match, but that's okay, because now we have the square as our outline. So we're just going to center it up, we're going to move it over, and we're going to match the size by the scale tool. Now obviously this is above here and that's above there, so we're going to scale down our box until it matches that. So now we have the exact width and length and height of our Elgato. So what we're going to do now is go to this cube, add 3 segments on each. This is under the Objects tab, I believe. And we're going to stick a hypernerve over it by either clicking this or clicking this. They changed for R16 to hypernerve from hypernerve to subdivision surface, so that's the one we want to click. And then we're going to drop it under. So now we have almost the basic shape of this. I'm going to click the cube and hit C on the keyboard to make it editable. You can also click this button over here to do the same thing. I'm going to click the subdivision surface up one more. So it's subdividing it by 3. I'm going to hit the line section and go over to make sure our cube is selected, lines, select loop selection. Now with this, I'm going to click these two. I'm going to first click this one, hold shift on the keyboard, and then click that. This is like a multi-selection. And then I'm going to adjust this curve right here by the distance that this is far away. Now if I click outside, I'm going to do all this weird maneuver, which might be cool if you animate that. This is not for our needs. I'm going to get something a little bit close. I'm going to hit the selection tool and select these again, holding shift to select both. Then go to a scale tool again, and I'm not going to scale upwards. Scale using this red one. So now I have this curve matched. I'm going to match this curve by, again, clicking these loops here, holding shift so I can click both of them. Oh, I did not. Click out, try this again. That one. And I can either click here by what side of the line I'm clicking on. I did not hold shift. Scale this that way. So this inwards a little, scale that inwards slightly. Match that curve, match that one. Now scale the entire model up. So I'm really matching that. Lower this littles. It's not as round. I'm going to hit the backspace on that. Click lines again. Slight curve. There we go. So that's our model. The actual Elgato, I have one right in front of me, and it seems like these are tapered off a little bit more. I'm just going to, you can adjust that as you want with yours. It seems to be a little bit taller. I'm going to adjust the entire model only height-wise. Yeah. And then I'm going to zero out the axis again. Alright. So now we want to create this ring here. See, on the Elgato, there's, so I can get it right here. This is like indentation here, and then has this glossy top ring, and then a slight bottom one. So we're going to create a overlapping mesh to accomplish this. Disclaimer, if you're looking to 3D print this, this will not work because we're going to have overlapping meshes that are intersecting each other, and 3D printing will not work. So that's your disclaimer for this one. And the way we're going to create that is just by a cylinder. We're going to put it on its x-axis. We're going to make it longer, so it goes through the entire polygon. And we're going to look at this. We're going to hit Object, and we're going to hit Radius 35. Go. We're going to click this and hit C on the keyboard. Make that editable. Now we want to click the points over here in our rectangle selection. We're going to go over here to only select visible elements, click that off so it goes through the entire polygon. I'm going to highlight it, and we're going to hit Optimize. What this does is, usually the caps aren't connected, so you have this mesh here, and then you have a separate mesh for this cap. And then usually I can click this object and just it would come right off and it wouldn't be connected. But now since I optimized it, basically takes every point. There's usually be 2 points here if it wasn't connected, and it just connects them. I'm going to Connect all of those on one side by clicking the polygon tool. I'm going to go over what I want to, and then Control, click and drag this all the way to around 150. Okay. And then do the same thing for the other side. Negative 150. Perfect. Now I'm going to click the line selection tool. I'm going to select this area here and click delete. And select this area here, which is the other side, and click delete. So now I have this mesh going through the object. I'm going to go to Mesh, Create Tools, Close Polygon, and I'll close one side. I'm going to click that one side, right click, go to Extrude Inner, and I'm going to make that little bevel. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm going to delete this inner polygon, hit the line tool, go back to Loop Selection, and click this edge that goes all the way around. Click our Move tool, hold Control, click and drag this all the way through. So what we're doing is we're dragging this line as like a new polygon. You see that all the way through here. See, now what this is going to do is we're going to create a boolean by holding this shape over here to bool. We're going to shove these under the bool, and that was the wrong way. These are overlapping. And this is going to create that little edge over here. See that? And yes, it goes all the way through the object, so you can see that. We can take care of that a little bit later. So we're going to take these out of the boolean, and I'm going to continue to adjust this intersection. I'm going to click the cylinder, I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to create, or hold our mesh tool, go to Create Tools and Knife. We're going to go all the way to the right, unclick Visible Only because we want to go through the entire mesh. We're going to hit the point tool, and we're going to click, hold shift, or hold shift, click and drag. And do it again on this side. Once more on the bottom. Just like that. I'm going to click the line tool. Holding shift, we're going to multi-click only the left lines, the top, middle, and bottom. And then we're going to move that to -5. Let's see if we can move that line. -5. We're going to go to the other one, as you guessed, +5. Cool. And then polygon, click this new polygon we created in the middle. Hold Control, click, and drag all the way up. Let's go to the one at the bottom. Click the line tool again. Do the same thing, but just go -1. And then, of course, we want this to mesh because everything is symmetrical, +1. And as you guessed, we're going to click that, Control, click and drag all the way through. So that's our object at the moment. Let's see how this looks. Like that. So what we are going to do later on, I'm going to create, copy and paste this. Just going to shrink it down a little bit. I'm going to, this is just for demonstration purposes, you don't have to follow this, although we will do it a little bit later. And that's that. So that's why we're doing a overlapping mesh, so we can create that look extremely easily. Alright, so now we have to do the HDMI port. I am going to hide that. Go to Create, One Null, And second null, this one's going to be cracked. And I'm going to edit the hide tool, make copies of everything, just in case I screw up later and we have to go back. We're going to put this null under the boolean and put our cylinder under it, because we're going to add more to the boolean, but we're going to take that out for now. Actually, we can keep it out loud. So what we want to do now is create the HDMI port. Now if we look at the model, we have this HDMI port straight in the middle, and then on the opposite side, see if I can find a picture, it has another HDMI port, and it goes basically this one's centered and this one's centered, so we can cheat on that slightly. If you find an HDMI port, and just find a profile view, you can select your own. We can go to File, New, go to our front view, Options, Configure. We can put in the HDMI. There it is. Now what we want to do is create a Bezier. Click that. Click it here. Click and drag to create this turn. Click in this spot. Click and drag to create that turn. Click and drag to create this one. And stop right there. So we're going to take our multi-selection. We want to create these 2 points. We're going to zero out the size and zero out the position. So what the size does is they're actually not on the same level. So if I scale this, you can see it moving separate ways. So we want to move this, move the distance in between the points on the x-axis to 0, so they're in the same location. And then we want to move that position because we're going to add a symmetry tool to 0. I'm going to change this slightly. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to hold Shift, move this point like that. I'm going to make that a straight line. Fix this slightly. Alright, good enough. We can add the symmetry tool. Oh, which one is it? Right here. Over the array. Or click and hold over the array, symmetry. Throw the spline over the symmetry, and you will see this in the window. Not done yet. So we're going to click the symmetry and hit C on the keyboard, make that editable. So right now, we usually optimize it, but we're not going to yet because there's 2 points right here, because we had 2 objects. As you can see, so we're going to move one, just go +1, zoom in here, this one's going to be -1, we're going to select both, and hit join segment, then scroll all the way down to the other side, and we're getting there. I could have zoomed out, but could have been there a little bit faster. Oh, that one's gone. Oh. And then close spline. If this line was already there, you can move that over and then close the spline. This just happens to be like that. And there's your object. So what we're going to do is we want to throw that over a extrude. Make sure that's closed. Come on. And there. And that's your HDMI port. And you can expand that at will. So we're just going to Control-C to copy. We're going to go to a window, Control-V to paste. I'm going to hit extrude. I'm going to change the axis to 90. Then I'm going to scale that way down. Then I'm going to try to position it this way. Keeping this, I'm not going to go this way. I'm just going to go straight up and down because it's already zeroed on its axis. I'm going to hit a reference photo up and see how much space is below and above this small indentation. We gotta scale this up more. Perfect. Yeah, that seems good. We can extrude this extremely far out. Grab this bluer. Let's go through the entire polygon. There we go. Just like that. I'm going to caps, and I'm going to hit none on both. So now it's just an object. I'm going to copy paste. I'm going to name this HDMI. And I'm going to put it in our scrap. No. Then this one, I'm going to hit C to make it an object. I'm going to optimize it, if you remember. Just like that. Now, just like we did for this one, I'm going to go down, go to Close Polygon Tool, click the polygon, right click, extrude inner, make it the same, try to make it the same size as that. Just made a double one by accident. That's it. Wanted to actually will this work? Yeah, I'm just going to control and drag this all the way past it, as you can see on the right side over here. Our cylinder first. I'll copy and paste this, put it in this wrap, create this as an object by clicking C. I'm going to select all of it, connect objects, delete, throw in another boolean, and let's do this again. And I'm going to change our font tag to around 30. There we go. This is our font tag. And apparently that works. Okay, so I'm going to create a null and do this part one more time. There. I will go back to this HDMI spline, copy and paste it. I'm going to add the caps. Make sure this is still going. And then I'm going to shrink it down. To approximately smaller than that. Shrink that down. Just a little bit wider so it's an even space all the way around. Seems to be efficient. And then I'm going to drop that in. There's your HDMI port. Easy. And again, you're not going to see the exact hole all the way through because we're going to add this secondary one. That's a little bit smaller, like that. Just like that. A little bit bigger. But this one also needs the HDMI boolean, and we're just going to hold off on that. I'm going to label this as second. Alright, so one side has the HDMI port only, and then one side has the USB slot on the right, and then the power button on the left. So, as right here, so we're going to create the power button the same exact way. We're going to add a tube on the x-axis. I'm going to fill this up slightly, and I can do that side. I'm going to change the inner size. Let's look at our reference photo again. So this line is about at the top of this line. This line's a little bit less than this line here. So we're going to reference that right there. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Let's try, I think 25 is actually a good number. Move it over. The reference photo again, yeah, so there's space because it says N. Maybe 23 is the right number. I'll lift it up. Yeah. And then we'll drop our outer radius to somewhat the same size. So 24.5 seems about right. Let's see it over here. And I'm going to throw that under the snow as well. That's it. We're going to do the same thing, the same tube, but we're going to zero out our inner radius, then change this one to match this look right here, which is about level with this and a little bit higher than that one. 15.5 seems to be good. I'll drop that under the null as well as our object. This one doesn't go all the way through because it doesn't have to. Our USB port is very similar to our HDMI, and we're going to cheat that by just copying and pasting it, and we're just going to shrink it a little bit like that, and then the entire size, and then move it over. Let's look at this again. It's the same basic shape as the HDMI. It doesn't have the curve right here, and yes, this is a little bit longer, and this is a little bit shorter here relative to its height and length position, but we can fake it by creating something similar to that. Reference, this line starts here, starts at that, so we want it to start here. Actually seems to be good. And we drop that under. Of course, we're going to have the same problems here. There we go. I just moved that slightly. And we also need the thicker HDMI. Copy and paste that. So I'm going to move it over here. Shrink that too. And I'm just going to adjust it to fit inside this. You can make this look a little bit nicer at your leisure. Line maybe a little bit sloppier. And good enough. And I'll throw this one also under this null. There it is. So now we have our ports and our other port. Now let's look through our second and check that out over here. Now we also want to make slight holes for this. So we're going to create another boolean, throw that under the boolean, throw our larger HDMI, throw that over here, and our shorter HDMI. Copy and paste that. I'm going to create another null as before. Put both of them under the null. I'm going to name that USB. So we're going to get confused. Throw that under that null. Now I'm going to put these endpoints somewhat relatively HDMI distance, and that at a USB distance. Oh, I forgot the tube as well. Copy and paste that, same idea. I'm just going to move that. There it is. And that's pretty much the entire thing. Now we can also stress over these parts here. I'm just going to create a simple cube, size it down to approximately something that looks like that. Let's squeeze it in, raise it up a little bit. It has these teeth here. Oh, I'm going to move this so it comes out like that. Then I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to make it smaller. Control drag, control drag, control drag. Actually, I lied. I'm going to create a ball graph cloner. I'm going to stick one of these on the cloner. Now it's repositioned. I'm going to move that up, move that over here. I'm going to change the x-axis, and then shoot the count up. I think it's going the wrong way, so maybe the z-axis. There we go. Let's go to 15, sounds fine. How many of those do I want? A lot. So just bump that. Let's make up a number 20. Stress over it later. That seems to be too much. How about 17? So about 5.5, 5.7. Too much, 5.6. Seems to be good. And then we're going to, of course, move that over so you can see it. I'm going to zoom in the location over here. Drop it down so that it just pops up. That's our plug. We're not going to look all the way in there, although these two we might want to do. Also, we want this lip so we can open up our smaller HDMI spline that we used to make the hole. Copy and paste it, and then just scale that little bit lower, like so. Make it a little bit wider. And then that's going to be that metal part that's inside. I'm going to scale widthwise really tiny, so it doesn't go through the entire. Actually, we want it to go through the entire thing. So I'm going to put that in there just like that. That's going to be that chrome white part. And we're going to do the same thing. Look on this side. Zoom in to get this a little bit more refined. Zoom in a little bit more. Do 709, 711. 711 seems to be good. And we might have to close that. Also, our inside boolean might have to do a secondary one, HDMI, and then drag that to the other side. Put that under this null. There we go. Again, do that with the same thing. Although our inside mesh doesn't have a cap. Over here, should be able to create a cap. Is that not want to work? Or we can just make it small and flip it on its axis. Just like so, copy and paste. Rotate this to -90. Shove that all the way to this side. If this is the side that you want to showcase. Also do that same cloner idea. Then move that all the way over here. Flip this, rotate it by exact angles by holding, rotate it and then start holding shift. It's upside down. Match that up, good enough. Then you have that over that side. And then do the same exact thing for the smaller HDMI, the USB. And to find that. That's not the one we wanted. That's one. Control V to copy and paste. Now I'm going to make this smaller, move that in, and then obviously adjust it. A bit wider. Okay, so that probably has lip. Yep. You can figure that out by yourself. And then you have the Elgato complete like that. Now we can also add the color. We want a glacier white, probably reflectance. Just add a Beckman, no specular. We want a slight shine to it. We want it pretty rough. Like that. We can add a fake softbox by creating a sphere or a plane, or a disk or a plane. We'll scale this up. Lift it up like that. We're going to move it to the side. Create a new material. Unclick color and reflectance. Click luminance. Double click this again. Illumination. Area G-light. Then we can do that 2000%. Throw that on the disk. Go to render settings. Edit render settings. We want physical render with global illumination and ambient occlusion. Let's see what we have here. That's it, and that's our Elgato. I'm going to adjust the lighting. I'm going to add a HDRI. In this channel, I'm going to open up. This has been working pretty good so far. Throw that under a sky. Add a compositing tag. Seen by camera off. Render that out. There it is. And now for the logo and everything, all you have to do is just apply a texture on top of it that just has the logo. And you can probably figure that out in Photoshop. So that's your Elgato. Thanks for watching.